beyond all of our traditional industries, beyond the tech community that has grown so successfully in New York City, we need to build up life sciences. This is the future. This is what is going to make New York City great going forward, because the future, as we've just seen with this global crisis, will be so much about finding solutions to the health challenges that plague humanity. And that is what the folks who work in life sciences do. They create the cures, they create the solutions. But it takes a lot of brain power, it takes tremendous capacity, it takes entrepreneurship, it takes investment. We can combine all these things here in New York City like never before. So this is our future. If we want good paying jobs, if we want jobs that can reach every borough and provide new opportunity for New Yorkers, including those who've been left out, then we have to invest in life sciences. You know, there has been competition in this country for which part of the country would be able to be the center of this industry. And it parallels some of what we used to see with the technology sector. Once upon a time, if you said tech in America, you meant Silicon Valley. Well, we showed over the last decade or two, more and more that meant New York City. Now, New York City is one of the global tech capitals. We're going to take that same history and double down on it with life sciences. You say life sciences today, some people think about Boston and Cambridge and Route 128, maybe Seattle, maybe San Francisco. Soon, they're going to be thinking about New York City. Because when you think about those other places, we have the talent base, we have the hospitals, we have the universities, we have the ability to do the research that could blow away the capacity of any other part of the country. So for so long, New York City was counted out of the life sciences game. Now New York City is going to surge and become a strong player and ultimately a dominant player in this space, because we have all the pieces all waiting to come together. We made a decision 5 years ago in 2016 to focus on life sciences. We put a $500 million investment to build up life sciences in New York City. 5 years ago, you didn't hear a lot of people saying New York City and life sciences in the same sentence. Now more and more companies are. More and more researchers are. More and more academic institutions are. We need to pull it together and prove how far we can go. In COVID, in crisis, we showed with the Pandemic Response Institute what was possible. The lab that did so much to help us through and now is creating the solutions of the future. But this progress, this momentum won't happen on its own. So today I'm announcing another investment of $500 million in the development of the life sciences industry in New York City, bring our total investment to $1 billion to ensure that we cement our place in the global economy as the public health capital of the world. It can be done, and it must be done for the future of New York City. We know that with this investment, we will be helping to create the space and the opportunity for some of the great innovations of the future that will save hundreds of thousands of lives, maybe millions of lives. Those inventions, those creations can be done right here. No one doubts the talent's here. We need to bring it together so that we become the premier location. And you're going to hear in a moment from one of the leaders of this effort for the city. But I want to make it very, very clear. Our message to everyone in the life sciences industry is, we need you here in New York City. We want you here in New York City. If you have a challenge or a need, come to us and we're going to help you solve it. Long time ago, people used to say, oh, I'd love to be here. There's not enough space. More and more, as you're about to hear, we're creating more and more lab space, more and more space to make these great innovations happen. If you want to be in New York City, we're going to make it work for you, because there's no stopping New York. There's no stopping our effort to become the public health capital of the world. With that, I want to turn to a leader in this effort. She heads our city's efforts at economic development and has been showing that we can come out of this pandemic strong. The president of the Economic Development Corporation in New York City, Rachel Loeb.
Thank you so much, Mayor de Blasio. And I am so excited to be here today to talk about life science in New York City and your ongoing commitment to this growing and life-saving industry and what it'll do for our city. As you said, life sciences is coming of age. 10 years ago, you could count the number of life sciences companies based in New York City on one hand. Today, there are hundreds. And now we're going further. But we want to make sure that the science that starts here stays here. So whether you're at the beginning of your career, exploring a new research idea, taking that research to market, fundraising, expanding your company, or planning the next phase of its growth, we want you to do it here in New York City. So what have we accomplished in a few short years since we announced LifeSci NYC in 2016? We've unlocked 2 million square feet of new innovative life science space with millions more on its way. We funded research labs at our major academic institutions. We've seen the growth of 6 incubators that have spurned hundreds of new companies. We've invested in paid internship programs to connect New Yorkers of all backgrounds to life science jobs. And those investments paid off when we needed it most. Our testing strategy was how we brought COVID under control until we had the vaccine. So we built our own labs and we built our own test kits, all the while continuing the momentum of translating science into medicines. As we look to the future, life science is going to play an integral role in the city's recovery for all, creating healthier communities and a stronger economy. So thanks to the mayor, we're doubling down that $500 million and creating a $1 billion investment in this industry. Specifically, we're going to create a lot of space and invest in equipment to do research. We're going to invest in companies, and we're going to invest in people. We're going to make sure that we have a complete ecosystem so that with talent, the diverse types of labs, the funders, and that we have developed hubs around the city so that we can capitalize on the competitive advantages that is New York City. And so that in addition to therapeutics and medicines, we are investing in new areas so that we become a global leader in health tech, biomedicine, and medical devices. Scale and diversity is the strength of New York City, and we need that in life sciences as well. So whether you're an investor, an inventor, a researcher, this is where the opportunities are and will be because it will all be here. And talent knows that they have a career that they can grow and flourish in life science in New York City. Life sciences is here to stay in New York City, and these efforts will support our local entrepreneurs and create 40,000 jobs for New Yorkers of all backgrounds while building a safer and healthier New York City. I want to thank Mayor de Blasio again for supporting the Life Science New York City initiative throughout all these years. I also want to thank our incredible life science team at EDC and our esteemed advisory council who's been guiding us through the past several years, and the broader community who's been working with us to bring this vision to life. We're so excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for leading the way. And, you know, Rachel made a point I want to amplify. We're saying to people, come here, this is the place to be. We're saying it for a lot of reasons that we just laid out, but there's another reason. You know, after COVID, tens of billions of dollars of research grants are going to be available from the federal government, from private companies trying to do research to build their products. There's going to be so much in the way of resources flowing, and it needs to go where the most impact will be. More and more, we want that to be New York City. The resources will be there. We need to capture them and build our economy, but also build the healthcare solutions of the future. So this is why it's so exciting on so many levels. And I want you to hear from two people who are right in the middle of this amazing moment, and who each in their own way exemplify the possibilities here in New York City. First, we're going to take you to a lab at NYU Langone, and I want you to hear from the director of the Biolabs NYU Langone Wet Lab Incubator. It's a premier co-working space for life sciences startup to test new ideas, to develop them, to grow them, to create game-changing possibilities. All of this comes from atmospheres that encourage innovation. It's happening right now in New York City. I want you to hear about it from Dr. Glenis Mehra.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for having me. I have to say this is a tremendous opportunity, and it's wonderful to be a part of this dynamic change and growth that's New York City's experience in the life science area. I'm actually talking to you from Biolabs at NYU Langone. And this site actually exists thanks to the support of EDC and the city. We have had continued support from inception to present moment that has allowed us to curate outstanding companies and provide really pivotal, vital space and resources that would otherwise, frankly, not be available for most of the fledgling biotech companies that reside here. Fundamentally, we allow companies to do more with less. Our platform enables founders to rapidly advance their proof of concept and development efforts while scaling their team in a matter of just 1 to 2 years, often with limited capital. This fall, we'll be having 3 companies graduate with teams of more than 20 people, even after starting with just 2 or 3 members less than 2 years ago, which is a tremendous testament to the efficiency in which work is done here. Our community, in addition to being very efficient, is quite diverse, and I think speaks towards what was mentioned earlier about the diversity of the economic sectors in New York that are growing tremendously. So our companies actually focus on areas such as therapeutics, AI, food and beverage, environmental sustainability, and consumer products. If successful, the companies incubated here would actually impact all of us, not just our quality of life, our lifespans and time with loved ones, but also I strongly believe that the companies here, especially companies like Imuni, Intelligentsia, would also help provide a foundation for biotech in general to move forward with a more efficient and impactful manner. Because of this tremendous impact, we have, and we take very seriously the responsibility of incubating companies here. Fundamentally, we help these companies create winning market propositions and economic impact, and we take that responsibility with tremendous care. In fact, we've been open through COVID, this devastating pandemic, for the past year. We stayed open 24/7 to ensure that the work that was being done here continued unabated. This type of New York style grit has resulted, as mentioned, in tremendous growth and success of these companies that otherwise would not have the opportunity. And so it's a very exciting time to be here in New York, to be part of this growth of our ecosystem and to strengthen this ecosystem. So thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Doctor, first of all, I love anyone who invokes New York style grit. I commend you for that. And the fact that you guys stayed open 24/7, fighting the battle against COVID. Thank you. That means so much to all of us. And you made so many good points, but one of them I want to amplify. Why I believe we're going to be the public health capital of the world is because the entire world is here already. Every nationality is represented. Every language is spoken here in New York City. As we create solutions, not just for America, but for the whole world, the talent pool here is able to connect with and relate to the whole world. So this is a place we have the talent and the diversity of talent to actually create global solutions. And thank you for your New York style grit and for making things happen there at NYU Langone. This is a great example of, I think, something we're going to see a lot more of going forward in this city. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your continued support.
Absolutely. And now, everyone, I want you to hear from another exemplary New Yorker, because he is just starting out. And we're talking about the jobs that this is going to create for New Yorkers. We're talking about a much bigger, richer possibility for the economic future of New York City, because life sciences will have a more important home here. This young man is pursuing his master's degree in biomedical engineering at Columbia, exactly what we want to see more and more young New Yorkers do to build our life sciences community for the future. My pleasure to introduce George Kenafati.
Morning, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for your introduction. My name is George Kenafati. I am of Syrian descent. I was born in Venezuela, and I grew up in Staten Island. I graduated from Macaulay Honors College and the Grove School of Engineering at City College in May 2020 with a bachelor's in biomedical engineering. And as you said, I'm now pursuing my master's degree in biomedical engineering at Columbia University, specializing in neural engineering. During my junior year, a classmate told me about the LifeSci New York City internship program, which places college and graduate students into internships in the life sciences industry. I applied, and I was thrilled to be able to be placed as a product development intern for the summer of 2019 with the company Flextra Power, which uses advanced materials to develop smart insoles for diabetes patients. Through my internship, I learned the skill of empathy and had the privilege of helping to develop and produce a product that will solve the problem of diabetic foot ulcers. The LifeSci New York City internship program does much more than place students into internships. All program applicants have access to the listing of over 100 internship opportunities, allowing us to learn about career possibilities in the life sciences industry. Nearly 50% program interns get offers at the end of their internships to stay at their companies, and I was fortunate to be able to intern for Flexure Power again in 2020 through the program. When COVID struck, the company used its expertise in material science to develop a highly effective graphene mask, giving me the opportunity to contribute to New York City's COVID response. Not only did my internships fit with my career goals, but they helped shape them. I now aspire to leverage my engineering knowledge and industry experience to advance our understanding of the human brain through deep learning and computational modeling. The LifeSci New York City internship program has introduced me to a vast network in the innovative life sciences community in New York City. I'd like to thank you, the mayor, and New York City for making this program possible and for providing life-changing opportunities to over 400 New Yorkers to date.
George, thank you so much. I got to tell you, you make me proud as a New Yorker. I love the fact that you were part of the response to COVID. I love the fact that you are gaining the skills to allow you to thrive here in New York City, and you have hope for what could be created here. That makes me very happy, but I also love your personal story. It's such a classic of New York City. Syrian descent, born in Venezuela, grew up in Staten Island. That's a true New Yorker. So very happy to have you here with us, and the best of luck to you. I think you have a pretty bright future ahead, my friend.
Thank you so much for your support.